almost forgot to turn on my microphone again. Hi, guys. How's everybody doing? Happy Easter, friends. Oh, another wonderful Saturday with all of my beautiful friends. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. And we get to paint the super cute Easter bunny. I obviously did not plan that song before I started singing it. So, I'm just really, really happy that I'm seeing some friends show up here. Oh, cool. All right. Awesome. Deb from Los Angeles. Hey, way to make it super early. It's only like 9 o'clock there. That's awesome. Or yeah, 8:50. That's nuts. And you're on time. That is amazing. Oh, and thanks for sending some stars, friends, too. That's so awesome, honestly. You guys fill my heart up so much. I can't wait to paint this bunny with you today, guys. Before I get started, I just want to let everybody know that today's party is sponsored by the Fantastic Fathers, and they just gave me this little thing to read, which I think is so awesome. So, the Fantastic Fathers is an organization that helps families come together, and they especially promote the male father figure in children's lives and how that can help their lives. So I'm just going to read a few things about them just to get started. So they say that parents who take active roles in the healthy growth and development of their children provide them with the best possible chances for success in adulthood, and thus having a positive impact within the communities in which they reside. Their program lineup looks to combat the incredibly high rate of children who succumb to social pitfalls when growing up lacking a father or male parental figure involvement. The percentage of high school dropouts, teenage pregnancy, and drug and alcohol addiction, poverty, homelessness, and crime incarceration have all been proven in modern studies to be significantly reduced when children have access to loving fathers. Oh. When your support With your support, we will be able to extend our number of programs and their frequency to be able to reach as many families as possible. Parents who are seeking knowledge and will have the opportunity to take part in diverse numbers of subjects we intend to cover. Children will also enjoy a wide range of fun and educational activities that we will have planned for them, like today, and their parents to perform together because strong families build stronger communities. And I could not agree more. And how amazing is it that they're able to put their stamp on a party like this so we can hang out and paint together. And I am a big advocate, and you guys know this, how much painting is, it's kind of deemed to be a unique solo experience, but how awesome it is when we make it a shared experience. We laugh, we just find a way to interconnect with our families and friends, and it's such an awesome thing. So thank you, Fantastic Fathers. Guys, just make sure you go and like their page if you get the chance. And again, I just want to thank you for showing up today. So I know it's kind of hard to show up for noon on a Saturday, especially when there's all sorts of family functions going on. If you are not in Ontario, if you are in Ontario, hopefully that you're hanging out with your family at home today, and just like I am. And it has been a long week here in my house. My daughter had her tonsils removed on Tuesday. And oh man, to be honest, that's what's so great about painting too, is like I've actually been really looking forward to this because it's going to give me the opportunity to just kind of let loose a little bit, let a little bit of energy go where I don't have to really, I'm still focusing on her, of course, but it's nice to just kind of like let those woes go for an hour. And that's what painting's so good at doing. So, way to make it here. Oh, let's see what everybody's saying. Oh, hi, Sarah. I hope you're here with the girls. Hi, Myra. Oh, hi, guys. And Kathy from Wisconsin, and Paula from Nouveau Brunswick. Bonjour. uh, Thanks, Jen. And hey, Emily. Oh, I know. Honestly, guys, there's a lot of bunny pictures, and I actually made a few Easter bunny pictures for today. And even though there was a couple that might have been more appropriate as far as kids are concerned. This is for sure the cutest one I made, so I had to do this guy with you, or girl, or whatever kind of bunny that you want. The Easter bunny is honestly, I just like, I couldn't not do this one because he's so cute. And I'm a real big sucker for cute creatures. So if you haven't been doing the creature series with me, this is going to be a good addition to it. So if you go onto my YouTube channel, just youtube.com/Julie's Paint Party, you'll find several different creatures. And when I say creatures, I just mean cute animals that you can do in there with their birch trees in the background. I think I have a fox and a raccoon and a moose and a hedgehog, and now a bunny. So I'm going to probably continue to add to the grouping of cute creatures. So just keep your eye out for that. Hi, Noah and Liam. Yay. And Shannon. Hi, Anita. How's it going? And Allison from Pennsylvania. And hello, Candace. Good afternoon to you as well. Hudson and Addison are here. Yay! Yay, friends! We're all here. And, you know, we are just getting the party started, so hang out for 4 more minutes and we'll start to paint together. So while we're kind of settling in here, just make sure that you have your trusty cup of water. I always like to use a red Solo cup. And we have some brushes. I like to call them my holy trifecta of brushes. I just get my brushes at the dollar store, guys. I get my paints and brushes at the dollar store. I keep it super simple. But you know, I am a big advocator and lover of the great Bob Ross. And like he always said, friends, this is your world. So you see this cute bunny? I'm going to show you how I paint it my way, but that does not mean you can't go rogue and paint it your way. So if you wanted to make a pink Easter bunny or a blue Easter bunny, you could totally do that. If you wanted to make different colored trees like turquoise or purple, they do not have to be yellow. And the same with the eggs. You know, I used very traditional Easter colors today. I used a very Eastery palette, but you do you. Make those eggs whatever color you want. Make your bunny whatever color you want, and your trees. I am so here. You can do no wrong. In my eyes, you are absolutely perfect. So please, if there's another calling in your heart to put a different color on the palette or on your paper or canvas or whatever you're using today, I'm here for you. I applaud you. Please do that. Do what you got to do. All right, who else is here? Oh, let's see. Hey, Nick and Dana. How's it going from LaSalle? And Peyton from Windsor. Awesome. And again, guys, today's party is sponsored by the Fantastic Fathers. And if you could go ahead and give their page a like, I have their link up in the description. Whenever I can't think of a word, moving my hands or making weird sounds makes me remember what the words are. So, what is it? And then when I'm typing, I always have to move my fingers like this. Huh? I'm just going to type it out. Awesome. Hey, thanks, guys. Hi, Liz. Oh, so good. I get so excited. I get like way overly excited for our event. So, what else do we need? Oh, and of course, paper towels. I got a little paper towel action going over here. And the colors I am using today are, it's kind of weird. It's like a light brown. It's called Cashmere Tan that I got from the Dollar Tree. And some white and yellow and pink and blue and black to do the outlines. And I just want to remind all of our parents out there that, you know, if black outlining in paint and a brush is a little bit challenging, that's okay. As long as you let your whole painting dry, you can totally grab a Sharpie to do your outlines after. I always leave my black outlines for the last thing. So hopefully by that time, the whole painting would be mostly dry and you can just take, you know, a magic marker Even like maybe a black colored pencil and do the outlines that way too. So there's lots of options to make this painting great. Oh, yay. Thanks, Sarah. Sarah says happy Easter, everybody. And hi, Lily. I'm super stoked you're here. And Liliana and Chantel, hi, guys. Emily and Danielle from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan are here. Astrid from Alberta and Mama. Mama. Ooh. We're here to paint with you. Let's get some bunnies on our paper. La 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 la. I love to sing, but I'm not the best songwriter. I'm not going to lie. I let my husband do the songwriting, and I just sing his songs. Ew. All right, guys. Well, it is officially noon, and we can officially start our party. And again, just like huge, huge hearts to anybody who's showing up today live. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to disappear so that you guys can see my paper behind my face here. And we're just going to take this one step at a time. Now, just before we get started, please, 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 friends, please remember that whatever I'm painting on my canvas is what I'm painting. And it's 100% okay if your painting does not look exactly like my painting. So what's going to happen today is we're going to paint some brown blobs on our canvas. We're going to let those dry. Then we're going to add some eggs and trees. And then we're going to go back to our brown blobs and make them into a bunny. Okay? So like I said, just one step at a time. You totally got this. And please just know that painting truly isn't about making these perfect images on our canvases. It's just about enjoying the process. And honestly, I can't enforce that enough or express that enough. It really is just about feeling good. So let's tune into our feel good button, and I'm gonna disappear. All right, and I'm gonna start putting some paints on my palette. So let's do this. Oh yeah! Hey, Amy from Tennessee. What is happening? Okay, so I have my paper plate here, and I'm going to start by putting a little bit of my cashmere tan. It sounds so fancy, but it's light brown. And if you don't have this color and you just want to put brown and mix it with some white as well, 100% okay to do that. So again, and then I'm going to put a little bit of white. I can't get it straight. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of white on my palette too. And my bunny is actually a little mixture of both of these colors together. So let's just get a little bit more on there. I like to use my paints until they're totally done, so they get a little crusty sometimes and they get a little gloopy. So I just work with the gloop and crust. I'm very in particular when it comes to that. So now I am actually going to use my smaller brush for my bunny today. So I have my medium flat brush here. This is my 1/2-inch flat brush that I'm going to be using. And like I said, I have my cup of water here too, just so I can do some little dips. I have my napkin to dry my paints off, or my brush off on. And like I said, we're going to be starting with some brown blobs. So I have my brown and my white, and I'm just going to put a little bit of water on my brush. And I'm going to make a little lighter brown. So it's already light brown, but I'm going to make it even lighter right here in the middle. I want a nice, bring that in both sides. Make a nice little pile of it. And it's okay if it's a little bit marbled. I kind of like when it's not perfectly mixed because then I get a few different tones in my bunny's fur. So I have like just a little area here, and it always helps to just take a couple drops of water and add that in, and I'm just going to mix that in with my brown. Scrape off some on the side here. Now, if your brush gets overly full, you can just give it a little rinse and a little tap on your palette. I feel like my brush, okay. And you can start fresh with a little bit of a freshy brush. So digging into that middle area of my paint, I'm going to start by putting this little bunny's head on here. And just remember, we do need enough space for its ears up top. So the shorter his ears are going to be, the lower you, and the longer his body's going to be. But you know, I leave a couple inches at the bottom. I don't want them to be overly big. I'd prefer my bunny's ears to be a little bit um, bigger than his body to be a little bit bigger. So with that said, I'm grabbing up a little bit of paint on my brush, and let's just create a head here. So my brush over this way. Shoop. And then he's got a couple little cheekies. And guys, this bunny's furry. So if you want to just do squiggles, squiggle it up. So I'm going to squiggle it over this way. I'm going to give him a couple little cheeks this way. And like I said, he's just going to be brown blobs to start, okay? And then his little chin's going to come down and around over here, and that's going to be his head. What? Brown blobs all day long. And then I'm going to color it in. So I know it's kind of funny, right? But that's kind of the style that I like to use. So lots of scribbles, lots of squiggles. And then when I am outlining his face later, that's when it all comes together. So we're starting with some brown blobs. And I'm just going to color them in as I go. Make sure he's got some nice cheeks. So when you're making his cheeks, sorry, my brush is kind of a little bit wonky right now. So his head is a little bit smaller. It's got a little bit, you know, a nice little round top here. And then his cheeks, just make sure that there's a significant little out dent where his cheeks are here. Okay? And then we're just going to take that same brown and I'm going to finish off his body. So make sure there's still room in his cheeks, and I'm just going to drag my brush down on both sides and color him in down there too. Pretty simple, I must say. Pretty simple. And, you know, adding a little bit of water in with my paint helps extend it and move it around a little easier. And whenever I'm out of paint, I just grab a little extra more brown, a little bit more white, mix those together, and just keep coloring. I'm a very, like I said, I'm a very in particular painter. So I just let the colors mix while I'm painting. Get some different hues in their body. Oh, thanks. So Diane just said, I like your idea about using tape on the borders of your media paper. Yeah, you know, it really just makes it nice and finished on the sides. So it looks weird with the trees coming off the sides there, but I also like to tape my thing together because sometimes the pages get puffy out on me. Now, I hope everybody isn't overly annoyed with my super in particularity. Hi, Jane from Arizona. Stoked. But like when I'm at the dollar store, I always just grab a couple extra rolls of painter's tape, and I always have some on hand. Dollar store, man, they really just, you know, they got it all. Okay. Now I'm going to make the ears on my bunny. So again, I'm just going to mix up a little bit more. I probably should have just mixed it all at first, but that's fine. So a little bit of water, a little bit of brown, a little bit of white, and I'm just going to continue to cruise along my painting. So the one thing about this guy's ears is they go straight up the middle and then they wiggle their way down to his head. Straight up the middle and then they wiggle their way back down this way, right? So what I like to do is I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to smoosh it, make sure that it's nice and flattened out. And then I'm going to choose a place on his head and I'm going to pull up. And you can make his ears as tall as you want. His ears are a little taller than the first time I made it, which I kind of love. And then right at the top, I'm just going to give him a little bump. And then I'm going to start to wiggle my way down. So it starts out a little bit smaller at the top. And then as I get towards the middle of his ear, I'm going to pop it out a little bit more. And then I'm going to slowly come down and bring it back down and attach it to his head here. Beep, beep. And color it in. Now, when I'm coloring it in, if I have too much paint on my brush, I might get some gloopies or some goobers places. So I go back up to the top of my ear and I'd like to just bring that paint down and make sure that it's nice and even all over the place. That just helps my paint dry a little faster and I don't have to worry about any like sneaky goobers afterwards. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, only I'm going to mirror it this time. So I'm going to take my brush, really smoosh it on my palette, make sure it's nice and straight. I got a nice sharp edge on there. And I'm going to shoosh it up to the top. And then I'm going to wiggle my way back down. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. So a little bump at the top, and then a nice big bump in the middle, and then I'm going to bring it back down and attach it to his face. And color. So those are our 4 big brown blobs. All right. We got a big brown blob for his face, a big brown blob for his body, and 2 big brown blobs for his ears. And again, you know, I'm checking for goobers. So I'm just going to take my brush and kind of pet out any spots that might have a little extra buildup of paint on there. Scribble it in. And rinse. So guys, when you have all of your 4 brown blobs on your page, just give me a thumbs up or say done in the comments. Let me know. Let me know. And while you guys are finishing up, I am going to grab some of the colors for my eggs. So like I said, I used a very traditional palette for my painting today. So I used pink and blue for my eggs. And honestly, Easter eggs are all the colors, right? Actually, I'm going to move some of these guys out of the way so you can see the whole thing. Blockade. All right, so you know what colors we're using. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of pink and a little bit of blue on my palette right now. I got some cotton candy pink. Boop. You don't need a whole lot. And this is paradise blue. But you know, whatever you got. All right, awesome. People are done their bunnies. Let's see if I can get enough blue out of my... There we go. Use it till the very end is what I say. Use it to the very end. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Good to go. Sweet. You guys are totally rocking it. I'm stoked. Okay. So, like I said, just give your brush a good rinse. So what happens is when you mix colors and when you use one color for a long time, all the paint tends to get built up next to the bottom of my brush. You can still see there's still some paint down at the bottom there. So I like to give my brush a really good push and swish. It loosens up all those paints on the bottom of my brush that get stuck in there, and that's what ends up, you know, it gets dry inside my brush, and then after a few uses, the brush gets really thick and it doesn't get nice and thin anymore. So I really like to give it a really good push and rinse in my cup. And anytime I'm using, so say I had used this brush and I moved on to another brush. Some people don't like this, but I always just leave it in my cup until the end of the party, and I give my brush a really good rinse, or all my brushes a really good rinse after. Because the paint gets dry so fast, I just find the safest place for it is in the cup until I can give it a proper wash. But if we're using it in between, just give it a good push on your or in your bottom of your cup and a nice dry off on your napkin. And so fresh and so clean. And we're good to go. So let's get some eggs on there, guys. Now you have to consider where your eggs are going to overlap. So what I like to do is I start with the eggs that are in the front, and then I add in the eggs behind them afterwards. So I'm actually going to start with my pink eggs, or with one pink egg and then one blue egg, and then I'm going to go pink and blue again. So I'm going to grab a little bit of pink to start. And I have my first pink egg over here. So it can even be behind his body a little bit. You could pile a few eggs on top of each other. I'm going to keep it chill and just put it right beside his body and make my egg popping out the side over here. And I'm just going to bring my brush back and forth a few times, make sure that it's nice and even. So eggs are a little skinnier at the top and they get a little wider in the middle. Obviously, everybody knows what eggs are, I think. But that's the general consensus, is that they're a little bit thinner at the top, and we try and taper them down so when we reach the center, they're a little bit wider at the center. And you know, they don't have to be super perfect. It's okay if they're not super perfect. So there's my first pink egg. Now, if you wanted to do another pink egg in front, I would go ahead and do that over here. But I'm going to give my brush a rinse, and then I'm going to grab some blue. So one thing, whenever you're making stuff like this, if you're using straight paint, you might find that your edges get a little bit dry when you're doing this. So you might need a little extra paint, or just a little tap in your cup and a little tap in your paint will help not only your brush cruise along the canvas really nicely, but it makes nice solid lines as well that alleviate any dry spots. So adding that little dip of water in my brush and then adding it to my blue will help me make a nice smooth line on my paper. So I'm going to pop this blue egg out of the corner over here, and he's just going to go pew, whoop, and I'm going to color him in. Now, I like to get him nice and full. I don't really care about the brush strokes at first. My egg is nice and full of paint, but then I like to give it a little bit of finessing, and I'll go back around and just make sure my brush strokes are all going really nicely in the same direction. I try and get from one side of my egg all the way to the other, and I cruise along those sides to make sure that my brush strokes look really nice and even. And that's just how I do it. So you can do it however you want to. All good. Now, because I'm going to put on my next blue egg, I'm not going to rinse my brush. I'm going to sneak in a little sneaky blue egg behind my pink egg over here. And like I said, guys, this is your world. So if you wanted to make all different color eggs, that's awesome. I sincerely think you should. But I'm going to just pop a little guy out over in the back here. And he's going to be sneaky, and I'm going to have to work around my front egg. So I'm going to stop when I get to my pink egg. And then I'm going to work my blue around my pink. So you might find this part a little tricky, but just take your time. It's all good. See, I got a little bit of blue in my pink egg. That's okay. No big deal. And I basically just make it fit behind as well as I can. And then I'm going to give my brush a rinse. Now, if you need to, you can always, like I said before, take your brush and make nice strokes so that all your brush strokes are going in the same direction and they're not too scribbly in there. And then I'm going to go back to my pink, and I'm going to put a pink egg behind my blue egg over here. you know, I just try and eye it up the best that I can. Nobody's perfect, so let's not try and go for super perfect eggs. Some eggs are big, some eggs are small. Some eggs are fat, some eggs are tall. Some eggs are the size of Montreal. That's not true, but it rhymes, so I liked it. And, you know, I can always go back to this egg over here and give it a little fix up since I got a little blue in there. But good thing blue and pink go really good together, so I love it. I love it. Yay! MJ did it. Awesome! I did it. I did it. And, you know, just to show some good faith and let you know that it's okay to go rogue. You know, I put 2 eggs on each side of my Easter bunny in my original painting. But I see that I have a little extra space there, so you know, it doesn't hurt to grab another color. I'm going to grab a little bit of blue. And heck, I'm just going to add another egg right behind her because I can. So if you have some empty spaces that you want to fill up with more eggs, please feel free. Incredible job filling up the space behind your bunny. Just leave it. It's all good. It is all good, my friends. Ta-da! All right, so let me know, guys. Did you add an extra egg? Have you finished your eggs yet? How did that feel? Did it work out for you? And, you know, I can see that I have a couple little rough spots on my eggs, so I can always take my brush and just go fix up any edges that might need a little extra loving. No worries. It's all good. Just take your time and you got this, all right? Oh my goodness. I'm just like totally enamored by the adorableness of this bunny. Seriously. Hi, Amanda. Happy Easter. Thanks. You're awesome. And yeah, guys, just give me a thumbs up when you are done your Easter eggs. Now, obviously, we have not decorated our eggs yet, right? We got to let our eggs dry before we decorate them. So while you guys are finishing up and giving me all the thumbs ups that you have, I'm going to go ahead and add my yellow onto my palette now so that I can put these big old trees in the background. And you know, guys, like I said before, if you missed what I said, like the great Bob Ross once said, this is your world. So please feel free to make your trees any color you want. I feel like turquoise would be really nice, but I'm kind of a little biased because I just really love the color turquoise. And but yeah, you could make pink trees, blue trees, green trees, brown trees. Maybe not black trees. That might be a little bit, but why not? Black trees. You can make trees however you want. It's all good. So Emily says it's coming along nicely. One bunny and has a set of eggs that are done. Finishing up our second set, we went with turquoise and gold eggs. What? That's gonna be awesome. Turquoise and gold is the bomb. Oh, and MJ, I'm really happy that you love my videos. Thanks. And I love compliments. So thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna follow along what I made before. So I'm gonna stick with my yellow trees in the background to stick with my traditional Easter palette. I'm right at the end of my paints here. You can hear, don't you love that sound? Squishy, squishy. So I'm adding my little bit of yellow to my palette here and getting paint on my hands. All right, thumbs ups. Les Jacques sont finis. Lily, Erica, you guys are good to go. Perfect. Hi, Will in New Brunswick. Awesome. Oh, I have so many lovely New Brunswick peeps in my and Nova Scotia. A lot of East Coasters. Love my East Coasters. All right. So, for the trees in the background, they're very simple, friends. There's not a whole lot going on. We're making nice long sticks in the background. I am going to move over to my bigger brush for this, so please feel free. You can still use your little brush if you want to, but I like to go big or go home, so I'm going to go and grab my 3/4 inch Patterson flathead brush here. I'm going to start with a little water on my brush. And you know what? I have a thing, like I really like yellow the way it is, but I really like adding a little bit of white to my yellow just because it makes this really, really pretty light yellow color. Feel free to do that. If not, that's okay. I just take a little white and add it in there. Or you can just use straight yellow or whatever color you have chosen. All good. But I do love adding a little bit of water in with my paint. So I never just dip my brush in my water and go straight to my canvas because then I get super long drippies. I go cup, water, paint, then then canvas. So water, paint, canvas, never water, canvas, okay? And I'm just loading up my brush. And when you're ready, you can start to make your trees. So I'm going to start right at the side and shh. And once I start to get down towards my eggs, I slow it down a bit, and I'm just going to wiggle in a little bit around my eggs down here. And you know, if you get a little bit of yellow tree or whatever color in your eggs, it's not a big deal. Both these blue and pink eggs are really great colors for cover-ups. So you can, they cover things really, really well. They have lots of pigment in them. So I'm just going to go ahead and color in my tree. And you can make trees that have big trunks or skinny trunks. And they can have lots of branches or just a few branches. I just take my brush and I drag a couple little sticks off to the side. And you know, they end up going onto my tape on my paper, but that's perfect because I just rip that right off afterwards. All right, and I just keep going. So anytime I hit a spot where my bunny lives, I just stop or I try and work my way around it. So once I get to my bunny, I just stop and I go around my bunny. Even if it's a little bit down here, I'm just using the little corner of my brush to wiggle it in. A little wiggle wiggle here. And I have to say, the nice part about using my mixed media paper pad is that the paint actually dries really, really quickly. So any spots that tend to get inside other spots are really easy to cover up afterwards. So just don't fret. Take your time and just keep creating your trees. What kind of forest are you gonna have? Hey, or is it gonna be like a really packed solid forest full of trees? Or is it gonna be just like a little forest? Are your trees gonna be skinny or wide? Are they all gonna be the same size or are they all gonna be different? I'm gonna shoot a tree up right between his ears here. All right. And let's see, where can I put a stick on this tree? I can pop one up this way. Ooh, I'm gonna pop one up behind his ear here too. I'm gonna go crazy and add a big branch behind his ear. Ooh, I just feel so crazy. And in my last tree, I'm gonna make super duper wide. I'm gonna use the whole length of my brush and big fat tree. This tree must have lots of cute animals that live in it. And you know, whenever we're making our little creature paintings, I always find that it's really fun to think about all of the animals that live in these trees. So, you know, after our party's over, if you want to go ahead and add a few little birds into your trees, or a cutie little squirrel or raccoonie, you should. You should definitely do that. You might want to make a few branches preemptively so that your bird has somewhere to live or sit on. Because you get to pick where your trees go, what kind of forest you have. I said, oh, don't you know? All right, cool. The trees are on. The trees are on. And yeah, so we have all of the major landmarks of our painting on now. We got our brown blobs, our egg blobs, our tree sticks. And now we just got to get these little details in there. So while we're going to let all of our background pieces dry just to make sure. We're going to make sure our eggs are dry and our trees. We're going to let them be for a little bit. And we're going to go back to our bunny and we're going to start to add in some of the details into our adorable rabbit. All right, so this is kind of hiding his little belly. So the few things that we need to do next are, oh, I got this pencil here. This is a good pointer. We're going to make these little white spots in his ears here. And we're also going to give him a little white and pink belly down here. And then we can use some of that white to put some notches in our tree after. Now we're going to wait till after to put the black lines on, so his face won't be until almost last. So we're just going to have to be patient in that department, okay, guys? Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my medium flat brush again. So I'm going to grab my 1/2 inch flat head brush for the next part of my bunny. I'm going to make sure I have some fresh white on my palette because it got a little compromised by my brown before. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of white with my paintbrush. Doop-a-doop-a-doop, boop-a-doop, doop-a-doop-a-doop, boop, boop. And I'm going to make these white spots in his ears. So, I start about halfway up his ear on the flat side. And I am going to pull down and make a nice little lumpy. And I'm going to fill this whole area in with white, right on top of the brown. So you might see a little bit of brown shining in behind, and that's okay. It does not have to be perfectly white. We actually want to see that there is something behind that white, or else it's just going to blend in perfectly with the background. And it's nice to see a little bit of detail or a little bit of texture behind the whites in his ear. Hi, Leah. I know, MJ, I love bunnies too. It's so sad. I have allergies, and I love bunnies, and I love cats so much, and I'm not allowed to be anywhere near them. They make me sneeze so bad. So I have to just paint them and love them from a distance. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going halfway up his ear on the flat side. And then I'm going to bring my brush down and give him a nice little lumpy, and then bring it back down to the flat side of my ear over here. So he's got a little lump, nice little white lump. I'm going to see some of that little bit of brown texture behind. There we go. Nice, Emily. Nice thumbs up. I love all of your thumbs ups. Thumbs ups make me feel real good. So, bang! Now, Like I said, we're going to give him his little belly too. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab a little bit of white, and I'm just going to kind of scribble on a little white area right in the center of his chest down here. We're still seeing that texture from the brown behind. And you get to decide how big or small the little white area on his chest is. Very bunny-like. And when I'm done using that, or when I'm done making his belly with my white paint here, I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going to add a few little strokes around his body. So I have my brush, a little bit of white on it, and I'm just going to do like really gentle little scribbles here, down the sides of his body, over here, and around the side of his face. I love adding little expressive brush strokes, especially with white. It just adds so much character to the painting. So like a little bit under his chin here. I just got little tiny brush strokes just cruising along around the side of his ears. And some of it might even get covered up with the black, and that's okay. So a little bit of white scribbles in his eardrums and around the lumps of his ears up here. Got the top of his face that can use a little scribble up top. And honestly, I know I might seem like I'm going fast, but I'm just going to all the little crevices in his body. So I have a little white on my brush, and I scribble a little on each side of his body. It's not the whole side, just little spots. A little spot around his cheeks and the top of his head and his chin. And then, around the lobes of his ears over here and even around the top. And it doesn't even have to be on both ears. It's just, it's all good. Oh, Swati, I'm so glad. I'm glad you're loving it. That's awesome. Thank you. And since we're using the white, now you can use your medium flat brush if you want, and we can create some little white notches in our tree. So what I like to do, I'll just either use the corner of my brush or my whole brush, and I just add tiny little white dots all up my tree, just for some extra character, to make them look like little birch trees. Every once in a while I make a little X, and you can actually do this with a liner brush as well. So if you prefer, you can go ahead and take, I have this long liner brush that I like to use, or you can use your medium flat brush too. It's up to you. And if you want, you can wait and do these little notches in black instead of white. I don't know what it is. I have a thing for like the light brightness of the white birch bark strokes on my paintings, but it works really, really well. And hey, if you're feeling like crazy vibes, you can actually do these notches in any color you want. So, I mean, you could take a little bit of blue or pink. Oh, that's so cool. Nick added a bird's nest into his trees. Yay! That's so awesome. That's a great idea, Nick. You're awesome. So, yeah, like that's perfect for these trees to add a little bird's nest in there. 100%. 100%. Now, I want to bring my book a little closer to the camera so you can see these a little better. I'm just going to finish them off and then I'm going to try and do that. It's a little tricky because this book is getting really full of paintings and they're it's pretty thick right now. I just want you to see how loose I am with it and how fun it is to even, to just make random little X's and little notches in there and without too much care. So I'm going to squeeze this off, and you can see it so light because it's on yellow. White on yellow does not show up very well, but I'm just taking my brush and I make all sorts of little notches in my tree, little X's, and it just gives them a little extra vibe. Nothing too serious. There we go. Oh, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. Okay. Make sure that I'm in here. Okay, guys. So, now that I'm done using my white, and please feel free to use some white to decorate your eggs as well. You can use any of the colors to decorate your eggs. But I'm going to offset the egg colors that I already have on there. So I'm finally going to go ahead and move to my long skinny liner brush here, and I gave it a little dip in my water. And I'm going to start with my blue eggs. And you know, Easter eggs can have so many different designs, guys. They can have polka dots. They can have zigzags. They can have wavy lines. They can have stars. They could have little smiley faces if you wanted to. There's so many different designs that eggs can have. And for mine, I have kept it very basic and simple. So on my blue egg, I'm going to do some zigzags. And I just start at one side, and I use the width of my liner brush just to make a few little lines. And they're a little bit parallel to each other, so that's the Charlie Brown line work there. The old Charlie Brown look. And I'm just going to do that on both sides here. Both sides of my egg. Beep, 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 beep. And because I didn't have this egg in the first place, I'm going to go ahead and make some pink polka dots in this one. So I'm just using the tip of my brush, and I'm just making some little dots all over my eggs. Egg, period. Not plural. And then on my blue one over here, I'm going to make lines. So I'm going to make two pink lines up here, and two pink lines down here. And you know, just because it's fun, another way that I really like to make polka dots, and if you guys have ever painted with me before, you would know this. I agree, Easton. My singing is very, very silly. I just use the wooden end of my paintbrush handle, and I dip it in my paint and make some polka dots that way as well. These make really nice little dots. Now, this is my smaller brush, so it's going to make smaller dots, but if you wanted to take a bigger brush, you can dip the wooden end of your big brush in there and make some bigger dots as well. Totally doable. And then I'm going to do my pink eggs with blue lines. So my blue eggs have pink lines, and my pink eggs have blue lines. So just going to start up here, and this one's going to be like my other blue egg on the other side. I'm going to give this two roundish lines on that side, and then again in the center. That went a little bit stray, but that's fine. And then I can make one more down here too. Boop. And then I'm going to make the zigzags over on my other pink egg over here. So zigzag, 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 zigzag. And I always find that it really helps to have a little bit of water in my paint whenever I use my liner brush. So if you need to give it a little dip in your cup and then a little tap inside your paint, that is probably going to help your brush cruise super smoothly along the canvas. Yay! MJ's done! Cool! So cool. Ooh, and you have a splash brush, so that's really fun too. Splashing is so fun. Always fun. Okay, guys, so like we're really getting in on the details here. Um, and because I no, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to put the pink on. So when you guys have decorated some of your eggs, give me a thumbs up and let me know, and keep me posted. And then we're gonna outline the outside of our bunny. So while you guys are, even if you don't finish your eggs right now and you want to take a little bit of extra time later, um, great ways to decorate your eggs. If you're not comfortable with using a brush, you can always, again, use a marker after all of your eggs are dry. You can get in there and make even better details, or use a paint pen would work really, really well too. So, you can get scrappy and creative. It doesn't always have to be the exact same way that I do it. If you would prefer to use like an actual pen or pencil, that's going to work really, really well as well. well as well, as well as well. All right, all done the eggs. Well, that's great. As you guys are finishing up, I'm going to get some of this black on my palette, and we don't need a whole lot. We're just going to outline our bunny with a little bit of black. And like I said, if your bunny's dry, feel free to grab a little Sharpie or something. That works really, really well too. And whenever I'm doing my outlines, here, I'm just going to bring my cup over here. I always, always add a couple drops of water into my black paint because it helps my brush just cruise along the canvas. Cruise. And I'm going to add 2 little drops of water into my black paint here, and I get it nice, and I make a little bit of inky paint over here with my water. I always like to fill my brush up as much as I can, and just in case, I don't want my brush to drip down my canvas, so I either give my watery paint a little extra tap, or I give it a little twist. I twist my brush, or you can drag it on the side of your palette too, just to make sure you squeegee off some of the excess water, because it likes to drip sometimes. Now, when I do my outlines, I'm very free about it. So I don't overly concern myself if I go inside or outside the lines. I often break up my lines so that they're not one full line. So just have fun with it. And I often just use the natural way my hand works. So if I'm, for instance, starting at the top of his ears, I use that natural curve of my wrist. And when it's kind of feeling a little uncomfortable, I just give it a little flip, grab a little more paint, and then I restart it again. Doesn't always have to be exactly right on the line either. It can be really expressive. Flip. I try and make the nicest lines that I can, but sometimes they're a little broken. Sometimes they're a little thicker or a little thinner. And actually, it gives your bunny a lot of great character. So again, and this bunny is pretty furry, so often I will start outlining, and I just like to fling off to the side and let little pieces of fur kind of just make their way around his face. So don't be afraid to break up your line work, or put a couple little extra notches in there so that he's got some little furry spots and a couple little extra wiggles also helps. And our bunny should be dry by now, so don't be afraid to actually put your hand on your canvas either. It's okay. Sometimes I like to use my pinky finger. I'll put my pinky finger on my canvas to really anchor my hand. It's nice to have some sort of solids. It's nice to be anchored. That's the best word for it. Just so your hand's not like, I can't seem to feel comfortable being way out here and trying to outline. It's okay if you put your hand on your canvas. or your page or whatever you're using. And whenever my paint starts to run out, I just go grab a little bit more. Now, if you're putting your lines on with your paint, if you've chosen to do paint, and it's really dry or it's not working really well, that's when we get out the old water cup. We give it a little dip of water, a little tap on our inside the paint that we're using. This time it's black, and that little bit of water just helps my brush make way nicer lines, and they don't dry up, and they're nice and smooth. You can see, you know, every once in a while I just give my brush a little fling off the canvas, and it gives them nice little furry spots, especially around his cheeks. You want a few little extra furry spots around his cheeks. And nice little wiggles. I love the little wiggles. So, again, I'm going to start back at the top and cruise along. Shoop. Whenever my brush starts to run out, I just give it a little fling and let that little furry furnace do its thing. Now, guys, if you have finished already, because I know some people work really fast and some people don't. Everybody works at a different pace. So make sure you go and post your pictures in our Julie's Paint Party public group. And also make sure you go and like the Fantastic Fathers Facebook page. Like I said, the link is there in the description of the party. So they totally deserve everybody's support for all the wonderful work they do to get our family time even more together and really promoting that awesome father figure aspect with our kids. I've been very fortunate in my life to have an amazing dad and an amazing husband who is an amazing dad. That just is there, and it's not even about, you know, the little things. It's just about being there and supporting your kids. So what better way to do that than painting together? And I give him a little wiggle around the middle of his belly too, so lots of little furry spots. I just kind of wiggle up, 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 make some little notches. Choop-a-doop-boo-boo. And then finally we're going to make his face. So, oh, Mila's done. Nice, Mila. You are rocking it. Got it going on, curl. Now, guys, I know that there's a lot of kids out there that like to do different kinds of eyes and faces. I would really like you just to make, you know, whatever kind of eyes you rabbit, you can use those, or you can just be like me and make two really cute little dots. So each of his eyes has a little lean-to. They're almost eggs. They're kind of like little mini eggs. So I just take my brush and I have like a little mini lean on each side of his face here. Oh my God, it's so cute. And over here too, and you know, my eyes, I got one that's like a little bit bigger than the other. Oh. Sorry, I get really excited about cute things. Oh, yay! MJ put anime eyes on her, and that's what I'm talking about. I know everybody has a different style, so do your style, okay? Now, she's got this little nose right in the center, so I like to keep it right almost in alignment with the bottom of her eyes here. This bunny has been a he and a she. So I'm going to put just a little nose on her. Oh. And it's basically a little upside down triangle. Now I'm coloring it in black right now, but feel free to make an outline. You can color it in pink after too, like I did. And you know, her face you can give her a little smile. So I just pull down straight from the center of her nose and whoop, one way. And then I just connect another little smile on the other side. Aww. I love her. And I'm going to let that be. So we have 2 more steps here. Actually 3. 2.5. 2.5 more steps. Now, while I let her eyes dry, I'm going to take my skinny brush here. Oh, where does she go? There she is. And I'm going to put a little bit of pink on it. And right under her eyes, I'm going to give her a couple little scribbles. So I'm going to scribble in a little bit of pink in her cheeks here. And a little bit of pink over here on this side. Just a little bit. And I'm just scribbling, guys. I'm just literally scribbling in little pink dots here. They're not even dots. It's literal scribbles. You can't really see it too well, but I'll do a close-up in just a second. And I'm going to take a little bit of pink and I'm going to scribble it over on the side of her belly over here. You can even take a little extra white and mix it in if you want to, just to give a little scribble of pink over on the side of her belly this way. I'm also going to give her a couple little pink eyebrows that just are super cute on each side of her face. There. And I scribble in a little bit of pink in the white parts of her ears. And I'm literally just scribbling, guys. Like I'm taking my brush and making little scribbles. Scribble, scribble. That's it. And that's that expressive quality that I'm always talking about. Now, last but not least, I'm going to take my little bit of pink and I'm going to put it right in the center of her nose so she's got this little pink bunny nose. Right over the black part. And what gives our bunny her cute little eyes is I take the end of my brush stick again and stick it in my white. So I got a little bit of white paint on that bottom and I give her boop, one little dot there and boop, one little dot there, and she's oh, so adorable. And that's what gives her her essence. Her little sparkles in her eyes give her her essence. And I would, you know, it makes me so happy when I see my friends have signed their paintings. Now, you don't have to go and make a big old signature in the middle of your painting or even along the top. All you have to do is take a little bit of paint and just put your little initials down in the corner. So mine would be JR. Just to finish it off, right in the corner there. Doesn't have to be super fancy or anything. And then everybody knows it's yours. Hooray! Guys, you did it. You did it. You did it, did it, did it. How cute is this bunny? Did it, did it, did it. Aw, friends, thank you so much for showing up today. You are just absolutely incredible. And I hope you had a good time. I hope it wasn't too fast. I know a lot of you were really fast today, so I'm impressed. I'm impressed by not only just keeping up, but totally beating me at the game. Amazing. And, you know, I hope everybody has a really amazing Easter. I hope the Easter Bunny just showers you in chocolate. I hope that you can take an incredible bath of chocolate tomorrow, full of chocolate eggs and chocolate coins and chocolate bunnies. And because honestly, that's just the best ever. And thank you guys so much for showing up. So let's see. Thanks, Shauna. Yay! Good job, everyone. Sarah says, yeah, thank you. And just remember, guys, this is going to be up for a while. So I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel after. And you can always share it with your friends. This video is not going away. You can paint it forever. So let all of your friends and family know by sharing the replay of this video. I'd be so grateful if you did that. Sharing is so caring. When you share, it helps me out so much. And it'll also help out our friends at the Fantastic Fathers Association. And really thanks to them for sponsoring our event today. I sincerely appreciate it. And just remember, we have more free events coming up. So every other Saturday, but this month we're actually having 2 free events on our Saturdays. So make sure you are always staying up on my events page and click going. So you have to click that you're going so you get notified when I start live or when if anything changes in our events. Make sure that you let people know, and please keep sharing. Happy Easter, friends. I'm sending all of my love to you. I hope you had a really great time, and please make sure you go to my groups page and go to the Julie's Public Paint Party group and post your pictures in there so we can all rant and rave about how amazing you did today. You guys are awesome, okay? Don't forget that. I love you so much, and have a wonderful day. Okay? Bye, guys. Bye. Chocolate is the best. Yes. Okay, thanks, guys.